G'day and welcome. And this is the second time I've been sick this year for a week. I've been off work for a week and I thought it was COVID again and kept taking rat tests and negative. So I haven't been out here really. This footage in this video was shot the week before and I got a message. Woohoo! So this video is about the disassembly of the front end of the Fairlane and the steering box as well. And the steering box is foreign to me because I've only ever pulled one apart years and years and years ago. I always used to send them out to get reconditioned, and it's about $700 to buy one now. I think they might be outright. I'm not sure what they charge the recap. It used to be about 250 bucks. I bought a seal kit for 70 and I've taken a punt. So this isn't a how-to. I pulled the box apart, I had to make some service tools and stuff like that. But in the next video when I rebuild it, I'll do it step by step. So in reading the manual, I should know a bit more about what I'm doing. So I hope you enjoy. Righto, so I've got that absolutely dripping in high fill. It's not the best job, but doesn't matter. I don't think it matters too much at all. I want to start taking the front end out, brake lines. Clips. How do I use those? Try. That thing is going to ooze out oil everywhere because it's still full, and I haven't turned the wheels since, so cover it with rags and try and evacuate as much as I can before I take the box out. We'll pop the springs out. We don't need those. I need to find out what these two nuts are for. There's like a brace thing under there. I just answered my own question. They need to be blasted and plated, because we're going to paint the whole engine bay at once, if you know what I mean. So upper and lower control arms are out, everything has to come out. We have to clean it up and get ready to paint it. A couple of things I've noticed if you drop, this is Pt6 which I dropped on the tyre, and I made a point of not trying to wipe it off because it just stained the rubber, but it just falls off. You can just pick it off later, so any acrylic can do the same thing. You can just get rid of it. It's all good. So this is a bit flat, this battery. But I'm going to take the wheel off. I've only got two nuts on the wheel, that is, which I'll get cleaned up. My daughter's making funny jokes. Right. At the moment, I'm under the left-hand front wheel arch. And we're replacing everything. We're replacing the brake lines, the hard ones. We're replacing the rubber ones. It's had an idler arm at some point, we'll put a new one on. And tie rod ends, I'll get these cleaned up and reuse these. And the sway bar bushes are knackered, the link bushes. Hang on. Behind here you've got wires attaching the calipers, or at least stopping them coming undone. So this is very typical of an old Ford when you pull them apart. This is basically a long wheelbase XE. We've got to change out the springs. These are 6-cylinder ones. The shocks I'll change. They're Munros, I think, aren't they? Yeah. They look alright, but if they're leaking or sweating at all, we'll put new ones in. And these things are notorious for squeaking. We used to undo these and just pack between that washer and the bush with white grease to shut them up, but I noticed on the other side they're all perished. These things too have a design flaw where these fill up. The other side was really hard, it was rock hard, that soil or silt or whatever you want to call it in there. So clean all that out. So discs, they look well worn. The minimum on these I think is 22.3. We used to do these all the time. So I think disc rotors are about 70 bucks each. So it's not prohibitive, and we'll rebuild the calipers and all the rest of it. Basically we want it all new when we're finished, so it lasts for a long time. So they got Loctite from factory, so we'll make sure we put Loctite back on it and pull the caliper off. We don't need a screw stick. Alright. Oh, the pads are still roadworthy. It's just old, used, pretty trashy. But now this gives us an in to get the lower ball joint, upper ball joint off. Upper and lower ball joints. And then we've got to do that horrible job of taking the springs out, and the compressor I've got isn't brilliant for this sort of thing. But it is what it is. Ugh. Hang on, where's this one? Oh, it goes through on the other side. There we go. How are you going today? Enjoying getting evicted? This is pretty messed up. Damn, hang on. Go on my rag. Yeah, that has not had bearing grease changed in a long time. You can get new caps for these. I'll clean it up and I'll have a look. Otherwise I'll just get it cleaned up and plated or something. What are we doing now? Taking this guy out. Oh, I forgot there's no drag link on it. No, oh sorry, outer tie rod isn't connected. Okay, I'll take you off. And that's all standard affair. And the bearings, of course, we're putting new bearings on. Where's my shifter? Don't look. I can't be bothered getting my shifter, so I'm just going to do it with those. It doesn't matter. You didn't see that here. And the thing with this is all reusable. Sometimes the stub axles, I've noticed on some cars, will sink. They're a little bit burnt, but they're not too bad. Hang on a minute. And what I'm talking about, the bearing is worn. What I'm talking about is here, hang on, in that threaded section there. I've seen where they're scalloped in, which is bad. So I will get these stub axles hydro blasted. I did get the XC's ones crack tested because I can't find my 1/2 inch spanner, because it had been bush bashed and I was worried about them. But the cost of blasting is negligible next to the time you're going to spend cleaning this sort of crap up. It just makes more sense. You know, they're not too bad actually. Sometimes they're a bit rusty, other times it's all oil and grease everywhere. Or mainly grease. And there's a little fine foam sort of wedge-shaped gasket behind here, but you can remake that. It's pretty easy to do. But it's just 10 times easier getting, for the price of it, getting somebody else to clean this stuff up. There's the gasket there. And there's our stub axle. Which looks like a stub axle. I mean, it's fine, but this way is easier to get to those fellas and take the stub axle out. I'll take the, what is it, sway bar, radius rod, and Bob's your uncle. It's easier if you just take your other bits off first, but yeah, it doesn't matter. The weather's closing in. It's winter now, so I don't know how long I've got before it starts pelting down with rain. I've got my back out in the weather. I've got to make some new doors for this carport, and Grant Wickham came over yesterday, a really knowledgeable guy, and he had an idea for some lift-up doors, which I think is really good. So I'm just going to do that. I think it's going to be easy, simple, dead easy to make, you know, and they'll give me the weather sort of coming in the garage that I really like. Stub axle. Oops. I'll take that sway bar and Blow control arm off. What have we got here? I'll give it a bit of a spray. There's just a bolt under there, isn't it? 9/16. Go and get some toolage and we'll do it again. The spring compressor I've got isn't great with these springs. I don't know if there's a difference in the diameter or the coils are tighter together on the 6. I had no problem putting the springs into the XC or the XW, but I did have a problem getting the other spring out of the other side. And that just withdraws through the top. The bushes on the spring saddles are knackered anyway. Am I going to hem myself in here? I can't remember what tool I used to get the other side of. Oh, cool. Sweet. I've got that. These nuts should just come off. Okay. Shocker. It's not white gas. What's the date on it? No, it doesn't. Do not heat or open. The XW ones, the original ones, were the original Ford dark green ones, and I sold them. I didn't want to put second-hand shocks on a car, you know, so I bought new ones, but I got $200 or something for them. So this was a bugger because these are designed so you can just wind them from the top. The problem is too much thread emerges before it compresses and hits the spring saddle. So you got to kind of wind it from in here with a spanner. To add insult to injury, it's got, they're too wide to fit in into these ones anyway. So I have to take one arm off the tool before I put it in, and it was just time consuming and a general pain in the neck. So we'll do what we can, and I'm going to edit the snot out of this because it's going to be boring, because it's going to take me a while. So I'm sort of lowering it down to there. Oops. You got to hold it and then get this in to that other part of the arm in there. Pain in the ass. It was just a total nuisance doing this. Now I've got to get the top one on. But it's the only way that I know works. Right, where's the top one? And you've got to do the same thing again up here, because they go kind of like that, and so that would go that way because the way the springs are. Lovely. It's actually easier just to take both of them off and spin that down there. It's tight. Even to get the socket off, you've got to come in from the top. I must be doing it wrong. I don't know, but I've done this a few times now, and it's a pain, but it's also a necessary evil if you want to be safe about it. Okay, so now I've got to tighten it up. So we can take up the slack by just going counter, seating all those things on, and making sure it's centered, which it kind of is, and the rest of it's just winding it in. Like, the actual winding it in bit with the right size spanner isn't hard to do. I don't know why it's like this, but I always get nervous taking springs off. I don't like doing it at all, because if you get a face full of spring, you're dead. And if you're not dead, you're not going to look too flash. So the rest of it's just winding it up. We're starting to compress now, you can see. I could probably get a universal and a thing up there and do it with a zap gun, but I don't want to. I want to feel it. I've also put a bit of CRC on the threads just so there's no binding, because I think it's important to really feel what you're doing. It's starting to get unseated now. You can see it's shifting on the spring saddle, so it's compressing quite nicely. There. Just got to be careful. It's shifting around the top as well. There's a rubber mount up there. These springs are actually plastic coated too at the bottom, where and I think at the top for that matter. unbolted the control arms a bit to give me a little bit more room. There we go. Yuck. And then we can just take off our rubber control arm. The spring saddles are just held on with those two nuts. And then they're off. I always stand to the side, or I'm kneeling at the moment, when I'm undoing these, just on the off chance something goes wrong, it's going to go that way. I'm just frightened of them, I always have been. And having a bit of healthy fear is not a bad thing, because when you do it, there's a little bit of adrenaline that keeps you alert. I would never be complacent with something like this. It's like tyres, you know, when you pump them up for the first time after you've changed them. There's been reports of people being injured and killed with tyres that have exploded off the rim and this sort of stuff. I don't know, I'm just a bit of a gutless wonder like that, I suppose. Don't do this at home. This is blindly stupid, using a 3/8 drive thing on a rattle gun, but I'm only going to go gingerly. We can get that on. Is it 9/16 at the bottom? Hang on a minute. Yeah, it was. Might as well finish the job. There we go. No, not wise, and I could get in trouble for doing that physically with an injury. But those bushes are rooted, so all the stabiliser being... Actually, it's quite curious because it's got a urethane or a nolethane bush here and a rubber one here. I don't know if that's intentional or that's what they had handy. The bottom bush is all split. That's knackered as well, so we'll get this stuff all cleaned up. We'll chuck the bushes, we don't need those. That sway bar can come out now. So there's a rubber spring saddle up the top here, which is in good nick. I'm not going to change that. This here, whoopsie, looks absolutely solid, and it's not. That's just dirt. So all that will dig out, and it's quite a deep thing. The other side was really hard, like that it compacted. The XC was much easier for some reason, but that's all. It's just ridiculous. It's kind of stupid because, you know, you would think they'd rust there. They don't seem to though. But by rights they should, because moisture can't get away, I don't think. The other thing that concerns me is this outrigger here. Clear as a bell, nice and good, but that is loaded with dirt in there. And it's not the same as where the sill is. Right, that's blocked off there, but it doesn't feel like there's any rust on this side. It'll be pitted pretty badly, pardon me, around here. That's going to be just sort of rooting around in there with a screw stick and then just blowing it with compressed air. Cavity wax or something probably isn't a bad thing to put in there, but that's again another stupid idea from Ford, because there's no... Oh, actually, yeah, there is a hole, isn't there? There is a hole. I beg your pardon. Ford are good. Under there. But it's completely blocked. Caster rod bushes are noisy, so we're going to take those out. And of course the lower control arm. The upper control arms I'm rebuilding, the lower control arms I'm just replacing the whole arm. We'll take the idler off as well, I think. Just got the lower control arm on a stand. These caster rod bushes can be a pain in the ass to get off. Now, I haven't got my 32mm spanner. It was a fan spanner I used to use at Ford, but these are tight. Got any movement there? Yeah, this is going to be difficult. Hang on a minute. Can I stick that under there? Not really. I might have to move that stand. Just a moment. Oh, there we go. It's easy just undoing this one about a turn, because the channel where the front one is, it's impossible to get a spanner in. It's not impossible, but it's not easy. I'll just undo that like that, and then the front one should be nice and easy to get off. And then I'll just do that up once I'm done. Here we go, easy. But it's easy to get them off, whoopsie, It's easier to get them off with the stub axle on. I didn't because I'm not following any particular order. So I just popped a stand under the lower control arm to stop it moving down when I was trying to undo it. Right, okay. The next thing, we can take that out. And where's my long impact socket? Here it is. Okay. Let me just take these off. Fit that in with 2 nuts, eh? Where the hell did the nut go? Oh, there's the nut. These have a shank on them so you can kind of knock them without damaging the thread. There's a shank with a hole in it for a split pin. And they're kind of splined into the lower control arm, like that. Matter of fact, they're splined into the cast rod as well, but I might take this out now. Make things a bit easier, hey? Having a bit of fun here. You can see I've taken some seam sealer out, and there's a bit of surface rust there, but it's not harmful at all. That brush on stuff, I'll clean that right out with the wire wheel. That brush on stuff I was impressed with, and I got that out of it. This outrigger has got a lot of stuff in it. And I'm just sort of moving it around and just getting all sorts of muck out of there. I think I might have to hose it out or something. But it does feel, whoa, sorry, it does feel infinitely clearer than it did. I really wanted to clean under this car before I pulled it apart, but with winter and, oh, hang on, there's a big chunk up there still. With winter upon us and everything, moving everything out, it's just a pain in the neck. But the guards were like this, and I just hosed them out, and they came up fine. Oh, that's where the guards bolt on there, that light I could see. I think that's probably, yeah, it's still got a chunk there. Anyway, I'm going to continue. When I do that, I've taken the nut off there. And I'll take that, I'm just starting to move that camber adjuster out. That bush has had it, look at that bush. I don't know if you can see, the light's pretty terrible. I've come under here to undo this pitman arm thing, and it's already loose, which is kind of dreadful. Right, time to look at some parts. Radius rods, cast rods, sorry. Look how chewed up that is. So, I haven't got those yet. These will obviously clean these up, we'll plate the hardware and we'll get them hydroblasted and paint the rods. Idler arm, not too bad really. It doesn't look like it was done all that long ago. You can still see some of the anodizing there. I'm not going to reuse it. I'll put a new one on. Brake lines are on the way. I've ordered new ones. These don't look too bad. They're not cracked. They will probably likely still be in roadworthy condition, but I don't know how old they are. They're starting to perish. Shocks are the wire, the gas. We're going to put new ones on. I'm not going to play with that. It's not a big deal putting new shocks on. They're quite reasonably priced. Spring saddles are knackered. You can see here they're all perished and cracked. And also they're those crap rubber ones, which are always noisy. Lower control arms. The lower ball joint doesn't look too bad. They're just gummed up and dirty. The inner bushes are stuffed. That's not roadworthy. I've got a new set of those coming. They'll likely be here tomorrow. Let me clean my workbench. Oh yeah, the ball joints. Got a new set of those. All this stuff's here. And, I mean, upper and lower ball joints, it's not uncommon in these things really. Yeah, just a moment. The upper control arm I'm rebuilding. So again, we'll hydroblast it, make it look pretty. Whoops. These bushes are worn, they're sort of starting to crack. No doubt they'll be quite noisy, I would think. And again, you have to press these, they're a pain. I don't like doing these, but they have to be done. Again, we'll paint them, we'll plate some stuff. I won't plate that, I don't think. I'm not plating that though. That's a very sort of stressed member. You got to kind of press these out, press them in. Steering paraphernalia. We've got the drag link here. That is a usable part, obviously. There's nothing wrong with it. When I got the XC, actually, somebody cut it off to fit it into something. I don't know why, but they did. And these are stuffed. So your inner tie rod ends. You can't see that, can you? There. Outers probably aren't that much better. So the only thing out of all this lot I'm using is the drag link and these two toe-in adjusters. Recirculating ball steering is nowhere near as direct as what do you call it, rack and pinion. But when you get a whole bunch of joints between, you know, the steering shaft, the output shaft of the steering box, through your pitman arm, through the drag link, through all these joints here, a lot of slack and that sort of thing can be amplified. So yeah, we're going to replace most of that. Fortunate, I've got I think Graham, somebody else, I can't remember who it was, a couple of uni joints. They will likely fit. New Timken wheel bearings, which is perfect because we'll get some new disc rotors and put new bearings in, so that's awesome. New idler here, we'll pop that in. There's a pitman arm somewhere in a box and I don't know what to do with that. So I've lost the pitman arm, but oh, damn, it is here somewhere. What else have we got in here? We got a new brake master, and the reason I got this was because the brakes looked neglected, and as a consequence of that, I'm going to put a new master cylinder on. The booster looks like it was replaced not all that long ago, so I'm not going to bother changing the booster. What else do we have? Right, set of upper control arm bushes, they're all here. There. We've got these spring saddles. These are great spring saddles. Now I don't like nolethane bushes much, I like rubber ones, but this one I do like it being nolethane. These rotate. Some of the cheap spring saddles, they're in the XW, I'm going to change them for these as well. Actually, you can't, they'll hang on even with spring pressure, and so they just chew out in no time. But these are great. That was $80. So I got the spring saddles, ball joints, the upper ball joints, because the lower ones come with the arms, so they're here. But the issue is I've got the, what do you call it, steering box seal kit. Well, I think I showed it in a past video, but I don't know where I put it, so I've got to try and find it. The next thing I've got is this really manky looking steering box, and it feels good going to lock, but in the center we're ratcheting, which means that little worm thing there's probably knackered. That's alright there. Feels clunky there, but it's in the middle, the bit I don't like. There. So I'm not expecting this. The other thing is this had such a leak on it that the oil coming out the bottom went halfway down the chassis rail to almost to the back seat. So this was really pouring, so it's a good chance this steering box is stuffed and it might need to be either replaced as a whole. I've got one more, but that's for the XA, so I might be able to get parts for it. I do have to make up some service tools for it like this. I might be able to get that off actually. I'm not sure. I'll just have to have a look. But the first thing I need to do, I've got on this bad bit of cardboard, is just scrape off some of the excess mark. We'll need a new coupling for it, and I'll just get a scraper and a brush and start scraping it off. I'll try not to get it inside. They do have to be ultra clean. They're like a transmission. You have to keep them clean inside. But yeah, I might have to make up some service tools for it because I don't have them. But it is a bit of a mess. A little bit of a mess. So the first thing I've got to do is come clean and say I know nothing about what I'm doing. Do not use this as a how-to. The transmission stuff I do know a bit about, but my knowledge is sort of spread across a lot of small bits and pieces. I'm just using this AFS. Why do we call it an AFS? Any something size. The fellas at Etheridge Ford are the ones that coined that. I think it was Roger. I saw him a few years ago at Eastland. Roger Fenton, great guy. Right, got this puller. Cheap off eBay. I think Super Cheap had them for 40 bucks. eBay had them for 24. So we're just going to take that right up to the end. Righto. And squeeze it in. That's if it will squeeze in. Oh, it doesn't bloody fit. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. It doesn't work. Are you joking? Damn. If I was replacing the pitman arm, I can actually grind the sides off. And I have got the other pitman arm somewhere, so I might have to do that just to get that tool on. Right, we're in luck. This is the one, I think Graham donated it. Graham, was it you? Oi, answer me. Bastard. Right, so, let's just turn that around a bit. Can you see what I'm doing? You're probably cringing. This guy has no idea. And guess what? I don't. Yep, sweet. That thread, is that the same? Come on, you little bugger, get on. Please be the same. Oh, look at that. It fits. Right. Does it fit on here? It's more the question, because that's what I need it for. Yes, it does. Does it fit on there? Seems to. It has two master splines. And we're leaking. Have we got two master splines? I can't see in there. Hang on a minute. Yeah, I still can't see. Look, end of the day, I think I'm going to change it anyway. It's going to be about the same. I think that'll fit that. So, I'm going to chop that off. I'm just going to cut the cheeks. So I might cut sort of along here and along here. Just being careful not to hit the spline or the output shaft of the steering box. It's still got fluid in it, which is disconcerting. Right, so I just end up cutting it off. Thank you very much, kind sir. And the problem I had, I cut it, and then this guy wouldn't go around the spline because it was too long, so I've cut that as well, which means it'll probably break. I don't know how much hardening it lasts. So I'll stick this in. This is a 3/8 drive. I'm not expecting any joy out of that, but you know, it's worth a try. So I'll center that. The shaft's got a centering hole in it, so it's there. Hang on a minute, I'm going to have to move this because the camera leg's in the way, and I'm going to try and remove it. Damn, I hate things like this. Oh crap, it's turning the steering. But now it's not. Just a minute, I'm going to have to get something in there. Now I'm trying to go back like that, aren't I? Did this work? Oh my goodness. How surprised am I? I bought the artillery in, so I bought in a spanner because it's longer, and a zap gun, which I didn't really want to use, but that's scrap. And this is unscathed. Now, I did nick the casing, but who cares? Things that pitman arm fit. Are those master splines off center? I can't remember. Where is it? There. Go that way or go the other way? No, it goes that way, doesn't it? I don't think it's the right one. Yeah, it's too big. That's a manual one. We'll get a pitman arm then. Remember I said I had no idea what I was doing? I still don't. It's too dirty here. I'll give me that. Look at the seal. That's the reason it leaked. I've been sick. I'm not really concentrating too well, but it's absolutely knackered. But the shaft from within doesn't look too bad. I'm going to clean that up with some scotchy in an annular way. That all looks good. I'm waiting to see, well, I haven't yet seen where the case hardening's gone, because that's what I think's happened. So I've withdrawn that. All I did was basically take the lid off. I backed off the adjustment. Oh, we got oil in there. I backed off the adjustment 1 turn. That's what the manual said. And, you know. So the next thing I'm tipping is this guy, which I loosened before. There's special tools for this sort of thing. This has got a lock ring around it, and then I'm tipping that inner piece comes out because you set up some sort of preload there, which we'll do. I need to study this because I'm not familiar enough with it for the moment. I might have to make a tool for that because I need to check. And we've got that ram that's coming up there too. I need to get that worm thing out because I want to check it, that whole shaft, because we'll pop a new seal in there. And by the next time I turn the camera on, I should know what I'm talking about. Because at the moment I don't. Where's the seal? We have to wash all this stuff up in thinner. Is there a seal in there? Hang on a minute. Oh, there's the seal. I've got to find the seal kit too, because I've not the foggiest what I do with it. Oh, sweet. Again, we're going to have to clean all this up properly in thinner, really make sure it's clean, surgically clean, because this dirt stuff that I'm doing isn't going to wash. What does that race look like? I don't really, if you want me to be perfectly candid, I don't really want to change them. That looks good. Notice I didn't have a huge look at it. They're little sealing rings that came in the kit. It's giving me auto transmission vibes, this. Sweet, cool. Now, I've got to get this bloke off here. I've got this Toyota tool I made up for removing the pulley on a 4E. I reckon that'll fit there. Right, a couple of other bits have rocked up. I found that. That's the seal kit. Interestingly, the sector shaft seal is 2 pieces. It all sort of gangs together. Bunch of tie rod ends, brake hoses, lower control arms, and some cleaned up parts. Now this was hellish to get off. You've got a piston rack which has a seal we've got to change. That is the cover for it. There's a bore that it sits in here. I've sort of swooped around there with a bit of Scotch-Brite to sort of clean it a bit, and that screws in. This is hell because I ended up actually having to bolt that back in the car, and I made a tool out of, this is just a piece of RHS that's got 2 holes in it for a 4E, to hold the 4E crank pulley while you undo the nut. And I ended up getting a bit of exhaust tube, cutting it off, a small 15mm or so, and sort of welding it together and marking where these cutouts are, which it does fit in. Yeah, it fits in that way. It's not very good, but once it was bolted in the car I was able to get it undone. So, you know, it didn't take long to make up, but it was still a pain in the neck because I did try and use a pin punch, and I thought I'm going to break this if I'm not careful, so I didn't do anything further with it. I just cleaned up a couple of bits and pieces. I haven't taken bearings out, yeah? So, Where are they? So you got a bunch of needle rollers. There's 2 sets in there for the second shaft, and there's also one for the top of it. The issue is, I haven't cleaned that up yet, the hardening on there, which one is it? Is it this one? Yeah, we're marked up there. I think that's where that ratcheting was coming from. I'm not going to do anything about it. Everything else seems to be pretty good, and I haven't taken this apart. There's a whole bunch of parts you can remove from here to service that. It looks like Torrington bearings in there, either side of that wheel too. But I haven't done anything with those. And the same with the input. The bearings actually look pretty good. This has, it's touted as variable ratios, so they sort of get more power resistance on the edges. So for doing things like U-turns and parking and stuff, it gets a bit easier. But for straight ahead driving, it's all good. So we haven't hydroblasted, we haven't plated. I might have some better looking bolts or whatever we can use, but look, that's going to do for this. It's the car that's going to lose money if I'm not careful. Since I've done this, and a guy pointed out another ZK Fairlane, I think a factory 302 column auto one, which is better than the one I got for 10 grand. And I'm going to be well above that by the time I finish this, even though it'll all be sort of new. It's still an original 6-cylinder car, which who cares really. Anyway, on that note, next video we'll start popping this thing back together. So take good care of yourselves, enjoy it, classic, and I'll see you soon.